Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of the Elite City Podcast. After a week of crazy weather, Mr. Rick had to dig everything out up there. How you doing, sir?
I'm pretty good. Just random off the top. Did you know that there's a new Shazam movie? I've heard nothing of it.
No, I didn't.
I saw no advertisements for it at any point, especially not yesterday on Dynamite. There was
not yesterday.
no mentions of this Shazam movie. Nothing. None whatsoever.
They even had it on the ring mat.
I know.
Like, I mean, obviously they got paid well to put all that there, but still.
And then this movie's gonna like bomb, and somehow people on the internet are gonna be like, "See, it's all AEW's fault. People didn't want to see it because they don't like Jeff Jarrett."
Hey, Jeff Jarrett's a draw, and he proved it.
He really is.
Yes, this is a heck of a match. Anyways, well, before we get started, there were some major announcements yesterday.
Yes.
Regarding Canada and AEW. So
yes.
They're doing a whole Canadian tour.
Yes.
So they're starting with I should have wrote all this down, but
they're starting with Toronto, I think, and then moving across.
Oh yeah, okay. That's what I was gonna say. I didn't know if they were starting in Toronto or ending in Toronto.
Yeah, they're going across.
Okay.
So they're starting in Toronto at what is actually called Scotiabank Arena, not the Scotiabank Center. Where the Leafs and Raptors play for Forbidden Door. And then they're going across the country from there.
First and foremost, this is the big building. It's the NHL arena. So
yes,
I mean, you figure at least probably like 17 to 18, if just the seats that are in it now.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is, are you going to be on every mobile device you own Monday trying to get tickets?
Yeah, I was so excited when I heard about this, and I'm already so ready to be completely disappointed when it sells out in like 22 seconds, and I go on and the only tickets available are like $3,000 because they're from scalpers.
Yes.
So I'm really looking forward to it, but I'm trying to like temper my expectations because I feel like I'll go on Monday morning and they'll be like, "We sold 15,000 tickets in 32 seconds. It's gone."
You're right. Now, for longtime listeners of the show, we know that you have the dream of AEW at the Sky Dome.
Yes.
Is this for real? Do you think this is a test?
Yeah, I think, and this isn't me like being Toronto centric. I don't think. I feel like they're trying to make Toronto like one of their key markets. How like Chicago is a huge market for them. Like this is going to be like one of their top cities. Just based on them doing the second Forbidden Door there, and like, I don't know. I feel like this is the start of something.
I agree, especially like with them doing like the whole second like tour of Toronto. Like they're or not Toronto, of Canada. Excuse me. They're going to be in Eastern Canada for like close to a month.
Yeah, a long time from the 25th till middle of July. So yeah, over almost a month. So
it's going to be a nice little summer tour you guys are getting. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think so. I'm also really excited about the Calgary show, even though it's a house show, because I feel like maybe there's some rule around there where they can sneak Bret Hart in if it's not on TV.
And guaranteed they will do that.
What I was thinking, as I saw some other people mention too, the Owen Hart tournament last year was in May. Do you think they move it to June, July so they could have it in Canada?
Oh, I mean, I want that to happen now, especially it was about a month long, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because they're going to like Saskatoon and Saskatchewan, like places in Saskatchewan. And
that would be absolutely incredible. I really hope that happens now.
I hope they do it too, because I mean, they're not going to Calgary for Dynamite, but they're going to Edmonton for Dynamite. So that's pretty close. Okay. I feel like they could do something. I don't know. That's just my thought. With that much time in Canada and to have an Owen Hart tournament, like move it back, do it in June and July instead and have it there.
Right. I mean, yeah, that makes perfect sense, especially because like that's the like, well, it's not the dead part of the summer for AEW, but that's in between Double or Nothing and Full Gear or Revolution.
Yeah, there's Forbidden Door, which is not really like storyline wise,
right?
And then
so I mean that's after Double or Nothing in May. It's your next pay-per-view is not till September. So
or do they have New Japan wrestlers in the Owen tournament and have it at Forbidden Door?
Oh, well, they could do that too.
Because Owen wrestled in New Japan, so
I bet you that's gonna happen. I bet you the finals will be at Forbidden Door.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, because I totally forgot he did wrestle in New Japan. So, you're here first.
That would be great. I'd be very excited.
That's gonna be incredible. Yes, it would be.
I also thought about how cool it was that. I mean, I'm fully expecting this to sell out immediately on Monday, just like last year's did. And it is really cool that like it's a show in Canada from not the largest American wrestling company and a Japanese wrestling company are going to sell out a show and several shows likely in Canada, which is pretty cool.
With no card announced.
Right.
Like think about that. Like they would don't even know one match for Forbidden Door, and you think it's going to sell out, and we think it's going to sell out in like minutes.
Yeah.
Unreal.
That's pretty cool.
Crazy.
And especially because it's like it's Japanese wrestling, right? It's not. I mean, it's available because it's the internet, but it's not like. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's that is wow, super cool. Good for Canada. Good for you guys. You deserve it. And I'm jealous that you get a pay-per-view before us, but
we just talked about it last week, how we thought we should have pay-per-views. Yes.
We've had more Dynamites than you though. So
that's true.
Yeah. So
I'm really happy they also get to go to the Scotiabank Arena, which is a much bigger building from where they were, where they had Dynamite. The building they went in Dynamite was fine, but it's a small arena. It's like an AHL arena, so it doesn't hold that many people. So being able to go to a big building, which was a WWE building, so I'm not sure. I mean, the WWE still runs there. They're running a SmackDown show from there in August. So it's interesting that they even got in there.
It is, and I mean, like I was texting you, maybe with the rumor of this sale, like some of these arena contracts are, I don't want to say negated, but maybe there's ways out.
Or maybe they're coming, like they come due, like maybe they have like a 10-year deal or something, and it's run out.
So, we had, we had Dynamite, but we had a very odd intro segment, I guess we could call it. It was very, I don't know, 1998 Raw.
Yeah. What do you think of them starting with a segment as opposed to a match? They don't do it very often.
And which made it special. I mean, I liked it just because it doesn't happen every single week. And if they keep it that way, I'm all on board. I don't want it every episode of Dynamite to start with a 20-minute multi-person promo.
Right. But I liked because it was unique and it was good.
Yes. Okay, now I'm just right off the bat. How many TVs did you break when MJF insulted the Hitman?
That was really good.
Awesome.
It's an easy shot, but it works. It's such an easy shot to take in Canada, but it's such a good one.
And it was
Canada's easy. Like we're really easy to make fun of. So
well, and it was MJF was smart because he had a 50-50 crowd, and he went 100% against him by just saying that.
Right.
So you insult Bret Hart. I mean, you could. Well, I was gonna say you could insult the Prime Minister, but no, half the people probably cheer if you insult the Prime Minister. But
yeah, Bret Hart is above that.
Yes. He also claimed to be the best in the world again.
Yes.
There's too many of these seeds being planted.
Yes.
So after all that, we have the other three pillars come down. First off, I thought it was awesome.
Yes.
And obviously, I'm going to throw it to you real quick. How do you think Sammy did?
Pretty good. Better than I thought. I know he's a heel, so like the problem was a bit that it was kind of a face promo.
Yes.
Yes. But he's a heel, and he did take a couple shots. Like he took a little I forget exactly what he said, but somewhere he took a shot at the crowd just to make sure that they were booing
about
him.
all these dumb people or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Like even all these, I think it was something like, even all these dumb Canadians know that or something. It was like that was smart of him to take a shot at them so that they'd boo him. But I liked it. I thought it was good. I actually liked all their promos because they kind of they did a. If you had never seen this show before, it kind of showed you the differences between these four people, which I liked.
Yeah. And well, I mean, Darby kind of let the cat out of the bag. Me and you have talked about for years. There's going to be somebody in this company that they're going to be there till the lights get turned off or till they retire, and it sounds like it was Darby.
Yeah, I really like the two parts that I really liked about it. One part was Darby saying that like you talk about how you want to leave all the time. I'm never leaving. Maybe it's bad for business, but
right.
I'm not going anywhere because they let me do what I want. That was cool.
Yes,
it made him clearly the top face, even though Jack Perry's also a face.
Right.
I really liked that, and I really liked MJF pointing out, you had Christian, you have Sting, you have Jericho. I'm just me. I don't need a veteran to pump me up and put me in the main event. I thought that was really good too.
Now, see, my only one of those three should have responded, "Oh, I forgot you only spent 1.5 years at Cody's side. Sorry."
Yeah, that's true.
Response.
That's true.
that would have been my response.
Yeah.
The thing that I liked about all three of them, all three of the promos, is Jack, Perry, and Sammy's were obviously in character and insulted MJF as his character.
Right.
Where Darby's blurred the lines of reality and insulted Max on the. I mean, obviously, he probably cleared it with him backstage, but he insulted him personally.
Yeah, and I like that because Max takes it there. Like Max is the one who's mentioned that he wants to leave and that he should get paid more, and like so. Yeah, it didn't seem out of turn for Darby to say that. It was good,
right? And I just thought it was very well done. The way that like the evolution of all four of them talking, and it was like in and out of character, and it was really cool.
Yeah, and they all did pretty well. Like none of them, other than MJF, are guys who you would say are great promos,
right?
Like the other three guys, but they all did a really good job.
Yeah. I mean, obviously MJF, you just give him a microphone, he could cut a promo against a brick wall and it'd be good.
Right. Yeah, but it's the other three who did a pretty good job considering they don't usually cut promos that often. Like not live in front of a crowd promos.
And I was gonna say, and I think collectively everybody knocked it out of the park.
I agree. Yeah. This is a fun segment. And of course, because it's wrestling and there was a cake. You had to fall. Like you can't have a cake at a wrestling event and not have someone fall on the cake.
And MJF, I love you because you get it. Did you notice how like he was gonna like bounce off the table and he grabbed the cake?
Yeah.
So more of it got on him.
He tried purposely. Yeah, he didn't really hit it that well, but he's like he grabbed it and flipped it over sort of onto him. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
Pro through and through. I mean, only certain people would have got that nuance of, oh no, I need to do this because the table didn't break.
Right. I need to look like more of a loser. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, it was so good.
So where do you think this goes with the four of them? Does it go to a four-way match or what do you think?
See, the easy answer is like having a fatal four-way at like Double or Nothing.
Right.
But that's I guess it's not that far off. It's like a month and a half. Oh,
it's like the end of May. Yeah.
End of May. Okay, so 2 months. A month and a half-ish. You could. I'm gonna fantasy book it myself. I want the fatal four-way, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah,
because there's too much. That's like, I always forget, is Double or Nothing the WrestleMania or is the one in?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say now.
Okay. I always forget if it's in May or in September, whatever.
Yeah. It's hard to say because even you could say Full Gear is possibly there. It's hard to say. It's hard to say which is their biggest show.
Well, okay, I'm going to stick with my gut, so I'm not stumbling over words here. I want a fatal 4-way, but what I think they're going to do is, of course, I think MJF's going to say something like, "Oh, well, I have something in my contract where you guys are going to have to wrestle each other in like some sort of eliminator 3-way or something."
Right.
And then, of course, he would get the winner of that. So that person would have to wrestle for like 3 matches to get to him or something.
Right. Yeah. I could see something like that happening because MJF is always making people go through other people to get to him. My thinking is I think he'll make them do like a kind of like series of matches, like a round robin series, like Jungle Boy versus Darby, and then Darby versus Sammy, and then Sammy versus Jungle. And I'd be like, oh, whoever gets the most wins out of all you guys gets the right to, and then somehow they all end up tied, and we end up at a 4-way match.
Please let that happen. I mean,
they might not even go to Double or Nothing. I mean, they could. Is there any special Dynamites coming up? They might.
Well, there is a couple Battle of the Belts.
Yeah,
not a couple. There is a Battle of the Belts in April.
That seems too big for a Battle of the Belts, though. Like a world title match. I don't think they've ever done that before.
Not one like this big.
Right.
You know, like if it was, it would be like, I don't know, like one of the eliminator tournament, or not eliminator tournaments, those proving ground matches or whatever they're called.
Right. Yeah, there aren't really any special ones. Last year they had St. Patrick's Day Slam, which is like tomorrow or Friday. Yeah. Then there's the 3-year anniversary show, but that's the end of May anyway, so that is kind of the same as Double or Nothing.
Okay.
So they didn't really have any special matches, any special Dynamites. Well, I don't know. Unless they make one, they just make like a fatal 4-way Dynamite or something, and have, I don't know. Because it will be really hard to stretch this out. I agree with you. It's going to be really hard to stretch this out for 2 months.
Yeah. I mean, if they could pull it off, hey, more power to them, but it's going to be a little rough.
Yeah.
The next match.
Speaking of things being stretched out for far too long.
Yes. We had the BCC versus Dark Order, and that was Mox, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta versus Evil Uno, Hangman, and Stu is back.
Yes, Stu is back.
Is he officially back?
No, I think he's just. They said like Hangman called him up to like help him.
Okay.
I feel like in real life, Stu just doesn't want to travel. I feel like that's what it is because every time they come to Canada, he's on the show.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But when they're not in Canada, I just think he doesn't want to travel. Like there was all those rumors about how AEW doesn't respect him or doesn't. He has a falling out with Toad. I don't think that's any of it. I think he just he doesn't want to travel with a wrestling company, so he stays home and wrestles locally. And whenever AEW is nearby, he does a show.
Yeah, heck yeah. And boy, did he shut up the internet.
Yeah, that was good. That was cool that they gave him. That's another way that they don't hate him, because why would they give him a really good moment in this match
and let him be big? I mean, he showed that was he was here before he wrestled.
Yeah,
not making fun of him. I mean, he part.
Right. So basically, the BCC is their heels now, right?
Yeah. I mean, but see, okay, this is my gripe. I was going to get into this, and I'm glad you brought it up. I don't want there to be any gray area with them. They need to be all one or all the other. And it's
I agree.
They just need to go full blown heel. They need to follow Wheeler.
Yeah,
Wheeler's
I agree.
Being an awesome heel right now.
Wheeler's always kind of been a heel because he even when he left Best Friends, he was kind of just
True.
I'm leaving. He wasn't he it's not like he ever had a nice moment after he left. He just yeah, these guys, I like them better. I'm gone. And just left. He's always kind of been a heel.
Good call. Yeah. So yeah, they need to be more of that, because they do heelish things, and sometimes they get booed, and sometimes that same move gets cheered.
Yeah.
Like it's, I don't know. I think they'd be great. They would be awesome monster heels because there really isn't a monster heel bad guy
Right.
stable.
I agree. Yeah, they do. I mean, sometimes they get booed and cheered for stuff during the same match. I remember in like when
Right.
Mox was feuding with Hangman, like he like
Right.
threw Hangman into the steps and people cheered, and then he threw him into the steps again and they booed. Like they just like
Right. It was yeah. They just need to go all one way or the other, which I think is coming
yeah,
eventually. But this match was, I mean, this was like pay-per-view quality match. I mean, the physicality in this match was unreal. Like these guys brought it. Not that they ever lackluster or anything, but this was just a very physical match. Like I said, Stu was in the ring for, I don't know, at least half of this match. That was obviously on purpose, you think?
yeah, I agree. I think it was just sort of like we're going to give him his moment. Like I think AEW would have liked to continue working with him, but he doesn't want to travel,
Right.
so or doesn't want to leave Canada, or doesn't want to do whatever, or doesn't want to have a contract. So this is kind of their way of being like, no, we like thanks for everything that you basically do or have done.
And
we're going to give you a moment, and like no hard feelings, kind of.
And like you said, I really hope every time you guys are, or not you guys, every time they're in Canada, they give him something.
Yeah, they're in Canada for a month. He's going to be like main event Stu Grayson by the end of it.
Right. Yeah, even in that time, just like what he like put his hand in at the Canada Dynamite or something.
Right. Yeah.
Like just those little things are.
Yeah, I agree.
So good. Well, we finally got the Hangman and Mox kind of round 2 type deal.
Right.
But what did you think of Yuta kind of interrupting that?
I liked it because first of all, Yuta's being a jerk, which is like what he's supposed to be doing.
Right.
That's what the fans wanted to see, and he wanted. I also think that I don't know, it worked because like Hangman and Mox is supposed to be over, right? So Yuta's probably just like, no, you don't get to do this anymore. It's me now. Like, I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah. And then after the BCC jumps, they get the upper hand. Then Silver and Reynolds come in to save Hangman and Stu and Uno, and now that's obviously going to lead to Silver and Reynolds versus Wheeler and Claudio, correct?
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense for sure.
I hope so, because I like the, I don't want to say serious because they're not serious, but the less comical Dark Order.
Yeah, I agree.
It's, I don't know.
They have to find a good balance between like being funny and being like still a potential threat.
That's a great,
like someone like Orange Cassidy or Jericho can do that, right? Like they can be funny, but like you don't think of them as jokes.
Yes, yeah, they're not just filler or, oh, okay, I'm gonna go get some popcorn now because this is not too much is gonna happen here.
Right. That's kind of the problem with the Dark Order right now is like they're good wrestlers. Like every time they're in a match, like it's a good match. The matches are good and people like them. Like they're over. People like to see them, but like there's no chance that they were going to beat the BCC yesterday. Like they're just not, right? So they have to build them up to a point where it's possible that they could beat them. Like they I mean, it seems like they're always going to be the underdogs, but like Orange Cassidy is an underdog in matches too, and he isn't like he could win. Like you don't put it past him that he could win, but Dark Order always seems like they're ready. They're going to lose a big match just based on how they've gone so far.
I agree, and I hope that is slowly changing, or at least give them like, I don't want to say this. I'm not being disrespectful to Mick Foley, but like make them the Mick Foley of like he didn't win every match, but when he did, the matches were incredible because you didn't expect him to win.
Yeah, or give them like a thing that they have that makes them not pushovers, right? Like Foley was like, yeah, he wasn't the strongest and wasn't the fastest, but like he could take the most punishment. So like you figure he could still win a match because even if he got beat up for the whole match, he could still potentially win because he's so able to take punishment. Yeah, they need something that like, oh, maybe they're just, they never quit or they work so hard or like something where you think that, oh yeah, even if they're outmatched, they could still win.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's perfect. Yes, do that. I mean, in the lamest of terms, that's just do that.
Because otherwise, they do kind of seem like they're like, I mean, they're not the level of the BCC. Like, there's no
right.
Like despite them having fans and people liking them and being good wrestlers, like they're not at their level right now.
And that you hit the nail on the head. You said right now, which means hopefully there is room for some change there. But
yeah,
it something needs to be.
I mean, I think that's the point of this feud, but
I do too. It could have been like a water, like a little test of the water. Like, okay, if it doesn't go well, you just go back to do what you were doing. But if it does, like if you notice, like Uno's a lot quieter.
Right.
Like, I mean, before he not that Evil Uno was like on the mic all the time, but like in skits and stuff, he'd be busting jokes. Like he's a presence now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I agree.
Very interesting promo up next. Juice Robinson cut his little promo on Ricky Starks and basically telling you that, I mean, which we all know, that the Bullet Club is basically here and he's coming after Ricky Starks. But my question to you is, do you really think it's him?
Yeah, I don't know, because I don't know who's in Bullet Club anymore. So it's hard for me to determine, to figure out what's, because I mean, I think you're alluding to Jay White. Yes. And they have been alluding to Jay White, but as far as I know, he's not actually in Bullet Club anymore, unless they take the Bullet Club for Life thing seriously. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know where they're going with this.
Because like everybody was like, oh, Juice Robinson, that he's not on Ricky's level, or they just build Ricky up, and then like they could have done this, 2 months ago before Ricky, which I agree, but that's what I'm trying to think too. Like, okay, well maybe it's not Juice Robinson.
Yeah, because he is too much of a step. Nothing against him, like he's entertaining, but he's not Ricky. He's not the level of Ricky Starks, and it does feel kind of like a step down from like going to
Jericho.
He had the angle with MJF, and then Jericho, and then Juice Robinson. Like, is like, why?
Right. So if you think about it, if it is Jay White, now that is somebody on Ricky Stark's level.
Right. I agree.
Or that is somebody who's they're on equal levels.
Right. Like, yeah.
So I don't know. I that would be insane, but I think this was a bait and switch, personally.
Yeah, I could see that.
TBS championship match. People were mad at first.
Yeah.
just public service announcement, people. Like, let things play out. I understand that we are in the era of time when everything is at your fingertips instantly, but sometimes if you just wait.
Yeah, and this required waiting like 5 minutes.
I know.
I could see if they had been like, it had been weeks, right? Being like, just get, but like, yeah, it had been 5 minutes. Like I admit when it happened, I'm like, oh, that's weird. But then like 2 minutes in, I was like, something else is gonna happen.
Exactly. Right? Like, yeah, as soon as Excalibur was trying to put over, no disrespect to you, Nicole Matthews, but whenever Jade had an open challenge and they're like, and Canada's own Nicole Matthews,
right? I was with like okay. with no entrance and no theme, and yeah,
I was like, okay, AEW is smarter than to give us this. Like, as you said, something else is happening.
Right.
Well, it was obviously a squash match. Renee comes down to the ring, and Jade threatening Renee, that's highly illegal, let alone doing it in Canada. I mean, that's wow.
Everybody loves Renee.
Actually, Jade's lucky Mox didn't come out, honestly.
Yeah, I
know. Anyways, but then we saw who the real person from Canada was, and it's Taya Valkyrie.
Yes.
And she used Jade's move Jaded on Layla Gray, which was awesome.
Which I believe I don't know this because I know very little of Taya Valkyrie. But I think her move, like, she uses the same move.
Oh.
Like, I think that's her regular finisher. And they were just like hyping it up as like they both have. They both use, like, they didn't say they both use the same move, but I think that is her regular finisher.
See, I've looked up some stuff, but I have not even like watched a whole match. Like, I've watched like highlight videos of her. So I'm very excited. I've liked what I've seen so far. She seems very good, and she seems like a good fit.
Yeah, and I like how they did this, because if she had just come out, if she's gonna be a bigger deal than most, and I think she is, than most of Jade's challengers. I don't think she'll necessarily win, but she will be a bigger deal than the rest of her challengers. I like them doing it this way, because if she had just showed up and immediately lost, you'd be like, well, what was the point of that? But if they're going to hype her up for a couple weeks and then actually build to a, match where either of them could win, that would be much better.
And did you notice, and this has to come with working with the time she spent with Regal and the time she's spending with Danielson. Jade had a look of fear on her face when Taya hit the Jaded.
Right.
Like, Jade has never looked like, Jade would get like mad or something, but she was like, whoa, that's not supposed to happen.
Do you think Taya wins, or?
No, because being 54-1, like, I mean, I understand that can happen, but they're gonna make it an even. It's gonna be a round number.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
and I can't see her winning, only because if you're gonna bring in someone new and have them beat Jade, no disrespect to Taya Valkyrie, because for everything I know about her, she's a very talented wrestler. I don't think that she's at the level of someone who can just debut and immediately beat like the undefeated champion. I think you have to be like, if it was, Mercedes, yes, fine, that makes perfect sense.
Yes.
But if it's going to be anyone who's not at that, then you're just like, oh, so they built up this whole undefeated streak to have her lose to, like, you know what I mean? It's not someone who was even built up through AEW, like someone who'd been in AEW. Like if Willow beat her at this point or something, you'd be like, okay, that's cool, because they kind of built her up as a character, right? But
yeah, I totally agree with that. If it's not somebody that could just step in where everybody at least recognizes them, like someone might not know Ruby Soho, but if you're flipping through the channels, you're like, oh, wasn't that girl in WWE?
Right. Or if you've been watching AEW for a while, you've seen her for the last, 2 years or whatever on TV. But yeah,
you just can't, like you said, unless it's like Mercedes, like that's the only person that could debut and win.
Yeah, I agree. I still think they are just waiting for Chris Statlander.
I agree. I totally agree. And as it almost should, I mean, that is not the TNT title. Like, they took it in a totally different direction. Like, the TNT title has had 6 million holders, and it's only been Jade. So the next person that wins it has to be special.
Yeah, I agree. And I do like that they're doing, because at least this seems possible that Jade could lose. Like, the problem with most of Jade's matches in the last like couple months, since probably her match with Athena, you were just like, she's not going to lose.
Right.
And now at least it seems like, I don't think she'll lose, but she potentially could lose. So that's especially how much they build up Valkyrie in the next couple weeks. I like that they're building up to like an actual challenge for Jade.
Yeah, and I hope that they have Valkyrie do like have this just be Jade, like have her have a squash match next week.
Yeah, like have her win a couple in a row, right? Just to be like, she's just as devastating. She just hasn't been here as long. But if she had, maybe she'd be 54-0, right? Like,
yes, yeah. Plant a few more seeds of doubt in the fans. There you go. That's perfect. Yeah. Well, we were just talked about Juice Robinson's promo. We had Tony Schiavone. He was backstage with Ricky Starks, who basically said what we all said, is like, why was he even talking to me?
Right.
But he did say something that this is why it makes me think it's somebody else. He said, of course that the Bullet Club is there, but they haven't been relevant in wrestling since 2015.
Right.
Just that statement makes me think that like somebody's gonna, like an old Bullet Club member is gonna be the real person.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, we weren't relevant since 2015, blah 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 blah. Like, that's what I think.
Yeah, it's Cody.
Oh, that'd be sick. They're all going to be at Mania. The whole AEW roster is signed for Mania.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I love AEW and I want all, but if somehow Ricky Starks went to WWE and continued this angle with Cody, that would be really cool. Like it just would be. Like I'm sorry. Yeah, like I like totally. Wrestling and that would be cool. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'd be totally okay with that. They'd mess it up somehow, but
yeah,
they'd change his name to David Smith.
People are going to get confused by the name Ricky, so we can't use that. Your name is just Stark now.
Yeah, like Iron Man. You should wear this whole costume. It's like, oh God, what did I do?
That's right.
Anyways.
Speaking of really dumb things that shouldn't have been on television.
Oh, man, was it terrible.
That was so bad.
And people liked it.
Who liked it? Who honestly, besides QT Marshall?
Like Twitter this morning.
Wow, that's weird.
Of all things.
As it was airing, I was like, this is really dumb.
The only thing that made me laugh was when Aaron Solo sprayed the breath spray in his mouth.
Who was the woman? Is she somebody?
Someone on Twitter said it was a great signing by AEW, but I don't know. So I don't know if that was somebody that was let go by like WWE from like the Performance Center, or if she is a commentator. I mean, excuse my ignorance, but I
have no idea who she is.
They said it was a great signing, though.
All right, I'll go with that. I feel bad for Hobbs at this point.
I mean, this is obviously being set up. He's going to destroy all of them. Right?
He better. Like, this seems like a real waste of him because they built him up over the last couple of weeks as like he's a tough guy who like grew up and had a hard life and everything. Now he's taking revenge on me, and now he's just like making jokes with QT Marshall. Like it sucks.
And now he's like in a high school classroom picking on like nerdy kids. I don't know. Like that was, but the best part of the segment by far was RJ City. Him just sitting in the back making the cringe face every time QT said something was genius because they know it's bad.
They have to know it's bad, right? That's what I'm thinking. They have to know. Like, this has to be bad on purpose. It has to be. Yeah. You can't. No one could have watched that and gone, "This is great." Like, outside of Vince McMahon and his most original, or like I was thinking, like, is Russo writing this? Like, it's awful.
And I think that's the point. Like,
it better be. Like, they better know that it's bad. And like,
I mean, just go back and watch it again and just watch RJ City the entire time. It makes the segment that much better because like as soon as it starts and like QT like is like way over the top, like RJ is just like appalled like that he's overacting. It's
I'm not gonna watch it again though. It was bad. I won't.
Oh, it's great. It was stupid. It was so dumb. And like if that was their idea of how can we blur the lines, they were doing a 3,000% better job by not acknowledging that they were doing that.
Right. But they made a lot of WWE comments, which I thought was odd. Like, was it like, is there a reason for that? Like, I don't know.
That it was odd, to say the least. But like again, so you kind of agree. Do you think that like Hobbs just has to destroy all of them?
I think he has to. I think he has
right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Because otherwise, where else is this? If this is just gonna go with like they're just a bunch of like lame guys hanging around making dumb jokes, like is that? It's somehow making the TNT title worse, and like it hasn't had a good run. But like,
it's true. Oh wow, that's anyways.
And then at the end, Hobbs stood up and tried to like cut like a menacing promo, but I'm like, no, we just saw the whole segment. We know, like, we've lost all respect for you.
Yeah, it was terrible. Oh, it was bad. Anyway,
that's why I have to think that like they know it's bad because how else would they put that on TV? Like it's pre-recorded too. It's not like it was live and it just didn't come off well. Like they've taped it earlier, so they had to have written that, recorded it, edited it, and then watched it back. And at no point someone went, "Hey, you know what? This is really dumb." So,
yeah, that has to be known, like because it was just. It was
secretly Vince McMahon got a job there. This is his audition. Like, you know what people like? Really weird jokes. A reference to TMZ, the TV show, which no one's watched in 10 years.
I was just going to say, the fact that they referenced TMZ made it even like 1,000 times worse.
Is that even still a show? Like, I know that was a TV show. I don't know if it still is.
I have no idea. I didn't watch it when people watched it.
So bad.
It was. Anyways, moving right along.
Maybe now they're making me appreciate the Jeff Jarrett Jay Lethal combination because like they're at least entertaining. Like they're on all the time, but at least they're entertaining.
Yeah, see. We have the International Championship. Jeff Jarrett versus Orange Cassidy. I like the old schoolness of this match, like how Orange Cassidy was selling his knee from last week.
Yeah.
Also, I made the note. Did you notice how slow this match was?
Yeah, it was. And I don't know if that's like because Jeff Jarrett is old. Like, no offense, but like, is that the speed Jeff Jarrett can work at in 2023, or was it on purpose? Like for another reason, I mean.
That's what I was just going to ask you. So. I don't know, but I did notice that it was slower.
Also, I just want to mention how much I loved Orange Cassidy taking his belt out of the bag, getting the other belt, trying to put them both in the bag, realizing that didn't work, then taking one out of the get, putting it down, and then holding up the new belt, like putting it in his bag, taking the ring, and then holding it up. Like that was great.
It was absolutely incredible.
See, Orange Cassidy is a guy like for all the stuff with like Dark Order even and stuff with QT Marshall, like they're trying to be funny and it makes them look like losers.
Yeah.
But Orange Cassidy is funny and he doesn't look like a loser. He just looks like someone who's funny, right? Like he does it so well that like him like fumbling around with the belt and stuff, like whether it was on purpose or not, it's fun and I like it. And it doesn't make him look worse just because he handles it all so well.
Yeah, because it like he knows his character so well. If that would happen to him, he would just react that same.
I think if anything weird ever happened to him, like the show with the gum got stuck in his face, like he just knows how. And like the last week where we thought maybe the pyro went wrong, if it did and they just ran with it, that's even better than if they decided to do that. But Orange Cassidy is he's one of the better, one of the best probably like comedy wrestlers. Like he's not funny all the time, but he's funny. Yeah.
And he, well, like we said, when him and Ospreay wrestled each other, like there were moments in that match like laughed out loud.
Right.
And then 5 seconds later you were going like, holy mackerel, did that just happen? Like they know their characters, but they also know when to put their character in the match.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they're not joking around the whole time.
Right. My favorite part of the match was when Satnam Singh just picked Orange Cassidy up by his belt, threw him in the ring.
Satnam Singh is maybe he's hanging out with Jeff Jarrett or something. He's learning his character, like what he can do and what he can't do, and like making it work with him really well.
And I hope he struts every match. when him and Sanjay were doing the strut, and like he just looks so funny doing it. It's amazing.
Like the four of those guys have literally gone from like, why are they on TV all the time to like they're really entertaining. Like I love them now. Like
yes,
I think they're great.
And how awesome and was it when Double J did the sharpshooter?
Yes, that was great.
Oh, it was so good.
So good.
And it was like he faked the figure four.
Yeah.
And then went to the sharpshooter. The crowd instantly knew and just started booing.
That was great for the crowd, for like the taking a shot at the crowd. Also because he was, obviously really good friends with Owen. So that was also really cool. Like it was good as like a heel move, and it was good as like a kind of tribute move. It was great.
Oh man, you're gonna get mad when I say this. Would you be mad if Jarrett won the Owen?
No, not at all. That'd be great.
Okay,
I would love it. I think it would be great.
Oh, that would be amazing. Oh yeah,
I think that would be great
because I forgot they were really good friends. They were tag team partners.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Oh, I hope that happens.
He's the perfect kind of like obnoxious heel that should be like representing Owen Hart. Like Owen Hart was such a whiny little obnoxious heel, and he was so funny while he did it. It'd be perfect.
Oh yeah, dude. Yes. Yes. How awesome was the ref bump that they've been setting up with how Jarrett always is yelling at Aubrey Edwards?
Yeah, I love the stuff with Aubrey and Double J. Like they clearly have like a thing going with each other where she just like she's extra strict with him, and he like pushes her. It's great.
The fact that they thought they had one over, and when Aubrey just comes strolling in, I thought it was great.
When Jay Lethal came back and not hit Orange, I was sure that was the end of the match.
Same here.
I was 100% sure that was the end of the match.
Just because it's usually the double swerve,
right?
You see the one coming, and then you don't see the second one,
right?
And it was so well done. And then Trent had to come down, as you said, to take out Jay Lethal.
Yes.
Orange Cassidy hits the one-legged orange punch. We get the clean pin.
Yes.
And excuse me. Where do you think we go next?
I don't know. I like Orange as champion. He's done a really great job. Now this belt, the international belt is, I would say it's their, not just because the TNT belt has been like so bad. I'd say this is like their second level championship now. Like it's right under the world title.
I agree.
I don't know. I was actually pretty certain Jeff Jarrett was going to win, and then he didn't.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know where Orange Cassidy goes now.
I mean, it is international championship now. Like, do you think it goes to somebody between now and Forbidden Door, and then, or do you think he keeps it until Forbidden Door, and then guy from New Japan gets it?
I don't know. When they originally pitched the belt, like as the Atlantic belt, and even more so now with the international belt, I thought it would be a belt that like guys would take to other places, right? Like Pac took it and had some matches like in England with the belt. I thought it was going to be a belt that like, it would disappear for a month because someone from New Japan won it and they'd take it to Japan for a month. Like I thought but now I think it's a combination of things, like the TNT title being devalued and MJF not really wrestling that much as the world champion. Like this title's now pretty important to AEW. So if it just like disappeared for a while, like it would be kind of, that's like their second best belt that's just gone. Whereas before, like if last year it had gone for a month, you'd be like, that's what the belt's for.
Right.
So I don't know. It seems too important to be like passed off to someone else now. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I never looked at it that way, because I was definitely going to say it's about time that it changed hands. But
I think it is about time that it changed hands, but I think it's going to go to someone else in AEW. Whereas before, if you would ask me, a couple months ago, I would have said, someone in New Japan wins it or whatever and takes it there for a month or two. Like that's what the belt is there for, to like show off AEW in other countries.
Right.
But now they've kind of elevated it too
Well, if Miro's not busy, that's who my vote is.
Yeah, that'd be great if he ever comes back.
Right, but do people actually know what or if he's doing anything? Like, I was thinking of this the other day. Like, what if he's filming a movie? Like, you could be on
I mean, the
commission for
rumor
a
I
year.
heard was he was out with an injury and then
Okay.
did shoot a TV show. Like, he was shooting a TV show for a bit. And
Right.
then they pitched an angle to him to come back. And I think it was basically to come back to, I forget who he was supposed to put over. He was going to come back and basically lose to someone to like put them over.
Okay.
And he didn't like that angle. So Tony Khan said, okay, come back with something else. And either he didn't come back with something else or whatever he came back with, they didn't like. And then he's kind of just been, I don't know. It's weird. Maybe they kind of both mutually agreed, like, oh, we don't know what to do with you right now. Just stay home. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea what's going on.
And that's like another thing with like now that none of the vlogs are allowed backstage, or they are probably allowed, but they just don't exist.
Right.
Like, we don't know if he's there. Like, people are just assuming that he's not there.
Right. And Miro is not the kind of guy to be at, like, when they talked in the first segment about people complaining on Twitter, like wrestlers complaining about he's not he doesn't do that. Right. Like you don't really hear from him very much. So yeah, I have no idea where he is. It's got to be something. It's weird to have him under contract and like just not use him unless they have some sort of agreement where like he's burned out or whatever and they're just letting him stay home. I have no idea.
It's just an odd situation. But we speaking of an odd situation, we had the greatest music video in the history of professional wrestling. The Acclaimed. I wish they would have hyped it more. They just said they were going to hear from the Acclaimed. Like, tell us you're going to give us a new video. Like,
the videos are always funny. Yeah.
Right. But the video is great. I mean, they're just so good.
They are, and it's they're another. This is not me, being super down on AEW because I obviously like it.
Right.
But they're another group of guys, kind of like Ricky Starks or Hobbs or even Orange Cassidy, who like they should be doing big things because of how good they are, but they don't really fit into any of the current storylines, right? Like the tag titles are kind of between the Guns and FTR right now. So what's the Acclaim going to do? Like I don't know. It's weird. True. I don't know. Like, there's not too many tag teams even anymore.
That's true.
So it's kind of weird. Like they're in a weird spot right now.
Yeah, that is true. Because like we thought the Elite were going to go back to just being the Bucks and Kenny, but I mean, well, they might have now, but I mean, they did just have a trios match, and
the Bucks feuding with the Acclaim would be cool. It seems like they're going to feud with the JAS.
Yeah, I mean,
them in 2.0 would be fun.
Them in 2.0 would be so.
I don't know.
I really hope it's 2.0. I mean, they even kind of teased it after the Outcasts had their segment.
Yeah. I mean, that would be fun.
Yes. And I mean, it would be a nice little, like, it's not like this groundbreaking feud, but it could get it could pass some time to maybe get them to the summer or to
and it would be entertaining, and like they're obviously all funny guys, so like it'd be entertaining enough.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be like a waste of anybody's time.
Speaking of 2.0, does it seem to you like they're kind of moving away from Jericho without like breaking up with Jericho?
Yeah, I have noticed that, and they seem a little less heelish.
Yeah. Because they're kind of, I mean, like Jericho's with Sammy and Danny Garcia a lot. He's with Jake Hager a lot. But they're not really involved in that much.
That's a good eye.
And that's fine. Like I
totally. Oh, I love.
I'm kind of over the JAS right now, so having them kind of do their own thing without like breaking up, so they could get back together later because they haven't had like a falling out.
True,
but I don't know. I'm over the JAS.
I really am too. Like I love Jericho. I love that Jericho can reinvent himself, and I mean every time you're guaranteed a banger of a match when he's in one. But these segments, he like it's just a little too much. He
Yeah.
needs just like to go away for like a month or two.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe now that they've done the Winnipeg show, maybe now he'll.
That's true.
I don't know.
Well, what we had a segment with the Outcasts
and their new theme, which I liked.
With new theme,
new video. I thought it was good.
Everything about it was so cool. Did you notice that they now have like the DX green?
Yeah.
So they're like every 90s faction.
Now they're more of a DX parody than a NWO parody. I like it.
Yeah.
People on the internet are mad because they're like, they're too much like DX. They're too much like the NWO. And I know it's good. They're like, it's been 25 years. We can do it again. And like everybody's in like, we live in the age of like everything's inspired by something, right? Like there's since The Simpsons came out, everything is a reference to something else and everything is a throwback to something else, right? So that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. And if people
I saw someone call them She Generation X, which I thought was great.
Oh, that's incredible. Oh, wow. Now, see, now this is something that totally could happen. We were talking about, are they going to be Bullet Club? Are they going to be this? Are they going to be that? I do know that Arn Anderson owns the Four Horsemen.
Right.
Now they had the fake Four Horsemen in WWE with the girls as the like backstage.
The Four Horsewomen, yeah.
Horsewomen, yeah.
Yeah.
But like they couldn't be the real one because again, Arn Anderson owned it.
Right.
Now, do you think Tony Khan asks Arn to let that out? And then
I don't think so, only because I think that this is working with them being like the more of a DX NWO ripoff. So I kind of like what they're doing. So I wouldn't mess with it. I like it. I think it's great.
Oh, I think it's the best thing.
And their promos are getting so good. Like Toni Storm's promo was great. Like that you just called her interim. You didn't even want to make her full champion. Yes. And she was happy about it. And tried to do it with a smile on her face. And then she lost and everyone cheered. Like it was great. Like their origin stories as to why they're doing this has been great. Even Saraya, like I'm a miracle. It's a miracle that I'm even wrestling and you're booing me. Like it's great.
Now, do you think they add anybody else, or do you think they keep these three?
I feel like they're going to add somebody else just because now the opposition against them is bigger in numbers than them. But I really like that it kind of started off as we know better than the AEW homegrown talent because we came from WWE, essentially. But now it's more of like no, we tried to fit in here and you didn't accept us. So now we're mad. And I think that's better.
Yeah, I agree. It's so good. But there are so many talented ladies out there that would fit so well.
I know.
like the Bellas.
Yeah, people were mad about that too. Like the Garcias, I think they're going by now.
Well, yeah, the Garcias.
People were so mad at Tony Khan better not hire them. They're not great wrestlers. Like they're not great wrestlers. That's fine. But like they're famous and and people know who they are and they came from WWE, so they'd fit in this group perfectly. And it would make people so mad if they show, which is the point of the Outcast. If they showed up and were just no, we started the Divas Revolution, people would boo them out of the building, which is exactly what they want. Like I'm not saying they should get pushed. I'm not saying either of them should be world champion. I'm not even saying they should wrestle. If they just showed up and hung around them to build heat, it would be great. It would be perfect. They'd be perfect for this group. Perfect.
It's so good. And with them, I mean, they kind of they tweeted out that they have no plans to sign with AEW. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, to me that means you either signed or you're talking. And I mean, first off, Daniel Bryan. Bryan Danielson, excuse me. Danielson works there, and he's married to Brie, correct? Or Nikki?
Brie.
He's married to Brie. Yeah. So, of course, he would love if his wife. I mean, come on.
Right. And even if they just showed up sometimes, even if they weren't there all the time, they don't want to tour, they don't want to. That's fine.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, damn well. We live in the age of Legends contracts. I'm sure like look at Sting, like
right.
The Garcias would gladly say like, oh wait, you're gonna pay us how much? We have to show up 4 times?
Right.
Sick.
Could you imagine though them coming out and being like I think it was Nikki who was like the longest reigning Divas champion in WWE, like when it was the Divas title. Could you imagine them coming out and being like, I'm the longest reigning champion in history, and we started the women's revolution, and the reason women are successful today is because of how mad people would be, which is like
incredible.
Perfect, which is exactly what it. Yeah, I love it. I think it'd be so great.
So good.
And then the other 3 outcasts, Tony and Ruby and Saraya, could be like, yeah, these are the women we looked up to. These are they're right. This is everything we've been talking about all this time. They were right. Man. They appreciate us and we appreciate them. And yeah.
The Bellas would be the actual Hogan.
Right.
Oh my God, dude, this is so good.
It'd be amazing. It'd be so great. It'd be perfect. And they don't even have to wrestle. They could just show up.
Right. Yeah. Oh my.
It'd be great.
Gonna happen.
And then you could even end up with like Danielson, if you wanted to involve him being like torn between he loves AEW, but he also loves his wife. It'd be great. Maybe that brings him back. How he's gone for a while. Maybe that'll bring him back. I don't know.
Zack Sabre Jr. is going to bring him back.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to happen. We also haven't talked about, they made Riho look like a badass.
Yes.
She's always been good in the ring, but like she's never looked particularly tough. But like, yeah, they made her look like she's now come off as like super tough. It's great.
And you do know what happened via Twitter, correct?
Yeah.
What? Okay.
She got like she like deleted her Twitter, right?
Yes, because of certain people who follow Jim Cornette.
Yeah.
But that was just such a FU.
Yeah, her coming down with like the pipe and like dressed a little bit differently. Like she looked so cool. It was great. And she's the one who ran them off. Like, no, yeah, it was great.
Now my
and even the little bit where Britt and Jamie didn't quite trust them yet. The other 3. Like all of it. Perfect.
It was perfect. Now, but do you think, like a lot of people were saying Sky Blue shouldn't have been there, it should have been Sheeta. I kind of see where they're coming from.
Yeah, I can see that. I think maybe she's injured. I don't know. Like I heard that somewhere, but I don't know if it's actually true.
Well, I was going to say like maybe she could have even been in Japan. I don't know what's going on right now with her.
But yeah, I definitely think Sheeta should be on their side.
Totally.
I also think the Outcasts need to do a little bit more of rip off the NWO more, like the original, the early NWO, like the Outsiders, when they showed up outside the arena and like threw people into trucks and like just like disrupted matches and just like caused general chaos. Like just take it a step further, just be like a bit more and like cause more trouble.
Just want the greatest.
Yeah. I love this angle. It might be my favorite thing in AEW right now.
Yes, this angle is great. They need a shirt.
Yeah.
And they better have a killer logo.
Yeah.
Like it's but it's
I even saw someone say they should make a shirt that says like the Nasty Women shirts that came out and like during the Women's March, they should make a Nasty Women Outcast shirt so it's NWO.
Oh, NWO. Oh, so good. Well, moving on, we had another promo, and this was 2.0, saying that the Acclaimed just keep making the argument for them that they are sports entertainers. And I love this. I also love this angle.
Yeah, I think it's really good
because it's true.
Yeah, it really is.
It's an amazing angle. I really hope this leads to something because 2.0 are so talented in just like the Acclaim. Like they're good on the mic, but they're so good in the ring too.
And I kind of hope. I just thought of this now. I kind of hope it leads to like the 2.0, hanging out with the Acclaimed or talking to the Acclaimed, and then trying to convince them that they're sports entertainers. But then the Acclaimed kind of convinces them that like, no, we're all sports entertainers, kind of. We're all wrestlers. Like Jericho made this distinction for no reason, just to get you to be on his side, and like you don't need to be. I kind of hope like they free them from Jericho.
That would be super cool. Yes,
I kind of hope that happens.
Psychology.
Yeah,
I kind of hope that happens now too. Do you think we at least get a match?
Yeah, I feel like we have to. I feel like that's where this is going.
Yeah, I think so too. I just really hope they're not 6-man matches and Jericho goes and then they have to put Billy. I mean, I'd have no problem with Billy Gunn, but like Jericho just somehow always finds a way to get into his group's matches.
Jericho also always finds a way to get into whoever's hot at the time to work with them. And you can say that one sense it's good because he does kind of help put that person over. Like Ricky Starks, not Eddie, which I'm still mad about. But he gets getting involved with Ricky Starks. You'd say, oh, Ricky Starks was like the hot guy, and he put himself in there to like kind of get his heat, like be a part of the big new thing. But he does also help put them over. So I can see why he does it from like a business sense, but like, I don't want him around this.
Yeah, I just hope he doesn't.
Oh, I know we sound like we bash Jericho a lot. We do, but that's not to say we don't like Jericho. It's just it's a little much.
It is a little much, and he doesn't need that much. Like Jericho is like the master of, oh, okay, you're only giving me 30 seconds. Well, I'll win them over in 15 seconds.
Right.
And they'll be kissing my feet in the last 15 seconds. Like,
yeah.
He doesn't need to be on the whole show, but I don't know.
I think if he wrestled half as much, people would like appreciate him much more. And not that his wrestling is bad. It's just like if he was away a little bit more.
Yeah. But then again, too, seeing it from his point of view, there probably isn't many left. So he probably wants to, you know what I mean? Like, get as many in as you can while you still can perform.
Right.
But anyways, we had the main event. Speaking of Chris Jericho, it was the Trios Championships, House of Black versus JAS versus the Elite.
Yes.
This match was so fun in so many different ways.
It was fun. Yeah, it was a little messy because of just the number of people involved, but fun match.
Yeah, and just the whole build of the match was fun. Like it had a slow start, and then once they hit that middle section, it kind of fired on all cylinders. Like with them and the crowd. Like the crowd was
super into
nuts. It. Yeah. I mean, just the first time Jericho and Omega were in the ring, even though they got broken up the first time. I mean,
that was great when they faced off, and then House of Black just attacked them, so they couldn't have the face off. That was great.
I mean, we're definitely getting another one. We're definitely getting a Jericho and Omega rematch, right?
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know when they'll do it. They might do it at like one of the Canadian shows. I don't know.
Or Forbidden Door. I mean,
yeah, I could see it, but I'd be kind of upset if it wasn't Omega facing someone else from Japan because
that's true.
I'd be very annoyed.
That's true.
But yeah, I do think we're getting a singles match between the two of them. And I've mentioned before, I like the trios matches. They're always fun, but I think Kenny Omega's better than that. And I want to see Kenny. I want to see him on like not to even knock the trios matches because they're all fun and they're all good and it's a good differentiator between AEW and other companies who don't have a trios title.
Right.
But I want Kenny to have some really big one-on-one. He's not old, but he's not young either. So
very, very true.
I want him to have a big singles run again.
It's definitely coming.
Yeah, I really hope so.
Was this a staple match for the House of Black?
I mean, definitely for Brody King. Like Brody King got put over huge for the second time. Like in the last match, the one match they won the titles in, Brody King got put over huge too. Like they're focusing a lot on him and with good reason. He looks like a monster. He looks fast. He looks strong. Like he looks like devastating. in these matches. So definitely a statement match for him.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing the plan of what they talked about whenever Malachi initially just wanted to take that time off, and then the internet said he quit, and he had to come back and say, no, I didn't quit, and explain himself. And I think this was all like, remember how they said like he had a long sit down with Tony Khan and they planned some stuff out?
Right.
I think this is it, because I mean, there's this, it just doesn't seem like Tony Khan wrote this. This seems like something that Malachi did. This was just this leading into this match. It was fun, but it was dark, but it was also like nobody expected the Elite to come back this quick.
Right.
You know, like when they lost, like, oh, okay, well, Kenny's going it. Well, like we said,
yeah, I thought they were splitting. They're going their like not separate ways, but they weren't going to be a trio anymore. Yeah.
And then, you know, just to bring them back instantly and then to lose again, that just doesn't seem like something that Tony Khan came up with. Yeah, but I could be wrong.
I kind of wish Malachi had more promo time, just in general, like because his promos are really good.
Yes.
And he can build up a story really well. So I kind of, maybe going forward, that's what they'll do. Because
I was going to say,
I would like to see that.
I think whatever is next is, I think they're going to start a feud with somebody.
I think that maybe the JAS is going to get another match against them, just because I don't know if you noticed. I noticed right away, and it bothered me. Danny Garcia wasn't the legal wrestler.
Oh,
when he got pinned. That. Jericho got knocked out of the ring, then Garcia came in and they pinned him, but there was no tag.
Oh.
So I don't know if that was a mistake. And he was supposed to, like, Jericho was supposed to, like, he was supposed to tag Jericho as he was falling out of the ring and didn't. Or if they're going to use that for Jericho to be like, hey, we shouldn't have lost. Give us another match.
That is very interesting. I didn't notice that. I don't have to go.
I noticed it right away, and because I watched the show like delayed, I didn't watch it live. So I watched it, and then when Garcia got pinned, I was like, "Wait a second!" And I went back and watched it again, and yeah, he wasn't. He was never tagged in.
Wow.
Which I don't know if that was a mistake or on purpose, but I think AEW's done little things like that before, where they've made a mistake. Like I think Eddie had, where he didn't actually get eliminated from a battle royal, and they wrote it into the storyline.
Yes.
So I can see them recognizing that and then writing it into next week's show or whatever, where Jericho's like, hey, we didn't actually lose, we need another match, and then they do it again, just the two teams. I mean,
right. It's that I would accept that, but not many more.
Yeah, I would accept one more match where like House of Black goes over again, and then I want them to move on to something else. I don't know who they would move on to, because AEW's tag scene and trio scene is kind of weird. Maybe because they introduced the trios titles, they kind of took away some tag teams.
Yeah.
Because now they both seem kind of weak. Like there's not very, like when they announced the trios title, I remember both of us were like, oh, there's so many trios.
Yes.
And now there's not really at all. There's like Death Triangle. There's, Top Fox. I don't know who else.
Trustbusters, but
really? Are they still a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're holding it down on Ring of Honor.
Oh, and there's what's his name? Tony Nese's guys. Daivari and what's his name? The other guy.
Daivari and
he's in ROH.
Daivari,
how do I not know his name?
Other guy in RH. Not Slim J.
No, the other guy.
The other guy. Josh Woods.
Josh Woods, that's it.
Okay.
They could be a trio.
Yeah. I forgot about Woods, Nese, and Daivari.
Yeah, there aren't many. There aren't many, so I don't know who they're gonna go up against.
Oh, see, I would say United Empire, but Ospreay just got hurt.
Yeah, and it's not the BCC, because the fallout of this match, we see that the BCC is still feuding with Dark Order.
Correct. Or I guess there is the Dark Order, but again, really?
Right.
Man.
I don't know.
I guess we'll find out.
And then then we have to talk about post-match.
Oh, definitely. Well, is the House of Black retains.
Yes.
And then we had the stare down of all stare downs. Hangman is in the ring, and then the Elite back Hangman.
I love how they cut in the middle of the match to them fighting backstage.
Yes,
I thought that was great.
That was such because it made sense for the setup later. Like
right.
It was just super cool.
Yeah,
but and yeah, the BCC attacked the Dark Order backstage, and that bled over into the main event, which was just weird, but like in reality weird. Like, why would that happen?
Right. Like, yeah, why are they coming to the ring? They were backstage.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, people wouldn't try to, like, this is a television show. People wouldn't try to stop that from happening. Like, oh no.
But what I really loved about the ending was when the BCC backed off because the Elite was there.
Yeah.
But Hangman didn't realize that at first.
Right.
He kind of just like, oh, look, they're backing off from me. And then right before the show ended, you see him kind of turn around like, oh.
Yeah. And, I mean, we're talking about Bullet Club.
Yeah, I wonder what, I honestly don't know what happens here. Like, do they invite him back? Does he accept? I don't know.
I have no idea, and it's incredible.
And what about Dark Order? Because Dark Order's kind of, they've always been his more loyal friends, and he's even said that. Like, when you guys turned on me, they've been my more loyal friends. But like, their Dark Order can't beat the BCC. We already saw that. The Elite possibly could.
Oh, see, I never thought of that. That's
but
true.
is he gonna dump his more loyal friends to go with the cool kids who are like stronger?
Oh, there's so many layers. I love it.
I think it's gonna be great. Like, the one thing for everything we've said about like the trios being kind of weak and everything, like the Elite and Hangman, like they can write really great stories, at least for themselves.
Yes.
And it's gonna go. I don't know where it's gonna go, but it's gonna be good.
I mean, within the next week or two, we're definitely going to hear from them, right?
I hope so. But AEW has had a bit of a problem with letting stuff be really hot and then just not talk about it again for a while.
That is true.
But it's the Elite and Hangman. Like, they're on a lot.
Right.
They have to give them a promo, right? Like, the Elite needs to get a promo at some point.
Right.
I don't know. And
there's
again,
so much
this
to
is
talk about.
I try not to put CM Punk into every storyline because I try not to. But if we got the Elite coming out and saying, "Hey, we have some stuff we want to say, Hangman, you need to come out here. We need to talk about some stuff," and then be like, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the last year, and we started to realize who our real friends are, and that we've always supported you, even if we weren't getting. And then, like, before they can make up, Punk comes out. And it's like, no, I don't want to hear any of this.
Because that's going to happen too. People are forgetting, like, he's still under contract.
He's another guy, like Miro, but even more so. He's still under contract. You don't have CM Punk under contract and not have him on your show. Right. That's I don't care how much they dislike one another, right? Like, you don't.
Right.
You don't. Like, that's I'm sorry. That would be like, oh, Hogan and Randy Savage didn't get along, so we're just gonna not have Randy Savage on TV anymore. No, of course not.
Right.
Right. Like, you're gonna make them get along. Like,
yeah, there's too much money to be made, obviously. But I mean, top-notch show.
Yeah, it was another very storyline heavy show, but I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah,
and they started a lot of new storylines. Like, where are a lot of these things going? I don't know, which I like.
Yeah, and they set up Rampage. It's I don't know how I feel about Rampage yet. Like, obviously I didn't read the spoilers, so the show itself could be off the charts, but just by what I saw on paper, it was not underwhelming.
Well, isn't it on at like 11:30?
That's the other thing too. Yeah, I'll be watching it Saturday.
I feel like they know that no one's gonna watch it, so, like, no offense, but why you're not gonna put on your best show when it's airing at
True.
11:30. Oh, Tony Khan just tweeted, welcome back to AEW, Stu Grayson.
Hey, breaking news.
Stu Grayson is hashtag All Elite again.
Hey, breaking news.
So there you
Congrats, go. Stu.
That's pretty cool.
Go. See?
I like that.
Khan listens to the show. He somehow got onto the live recording, which made no sense.
That's right. So yeah, Rampage, again, we haven't watched it. Powerhouse Hobbs against Ray Phoenix. That'll be good. Daniel Garcia, Brody King 2.0 versus the Bollywood Boys. And
that'll be good.
Yeah, they're good. And Tyre Valkyrie is in a match.
Oh,
we don't know who it's against.
Oh, see, that show already sounds better than I made it out to be.
And at some point, when is it? When's the? Oh, also they're doing the training between Stokely and Matt Hardy, which we have. That'll be good.
Oh, I didn't know they were doing that. That's going to be amazing.
Matt Hardy tomorrow on Rampage. We're going to share with everyone the intense in-ring training we've been giving Stokely Hathaway to get him ready for Hook. That'll be funny. That has to be funny. Like that can't not be funny.
And like, I don't understand what they're going to do with that next week. Real quick before we, like, I mean, Hook's obviously going to destroy him,
right?
But like, how do they make it funny?
Right.
Because like, I mean, Hook's personality is he has no personality.
Right.
And no matter what Stokely does, I mean, he's an overreactor, but
right.
Like Hook's not going to give him anything to play with other than like beating him.
Right.
So it's going to be funny. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of possibilities of things. We still don't know who Adam Cole's facing in a couple weeks either. So
that is true. Oh man, I forgot we have the new show starting in a couple weeks too.
That looks good.
Wow.
The trailer for that behind the scenes show looks good. Even the potential tease of them talking about the Elite CM Punk stuff on it. I don't think they will. I feel like that's not on it. But
you don't think?
No, I don't think so. But they're teasing it, so potentially.
Interesting. See,
I feel like Punk's not a part of it. Because not everyone on the roster is on the show, right? Like only some people are on the show.
That's true.
Eddie's on the show, so I'll watch.
Oh, it's gonna be so good. Eddie's amazing. Before we hang things up, I texted you and gave you a small homework assignment.
Yes.
And homework assignment was, if you could have anybody on the AEW roster versus the Hitman, Bret Hart, in his prime. I mean, obviously not today. I mean, the guy it probably couldn't even wrestle if he wanted to right now.
Right.
But yeah. How would you book the match? How would you do it? Who would you pick? And I'll let you.
Okay. The obvious choice is Danielson because that would be incredible.
Right.
Both Bret Hart and Bryan Danielson. They could wrestle me, and it would be good. Like totally. it would be passable because because
Bret Hart could wrestle me today.
Right. I don't want to take this a shot at WWE, but like Bret Hart could just script people's matches and they'd be good. And I think he wanted to do that, and they said no, which is like. Which, if Bret Hart says, "Hey, I'm going to tell people how to wrestle," you immediately say yes. If came to me right now, and I am not a wrestler, he's like, "I'm going to teach you." I would say, "Yeah, sure, of course. That sounds amazing."
Because I mean, you're learning from the best, so like, I mean, why wouldn't you?
So, not Danielson, because I feel like that would be great, but I'm going to go a slightly different direction. One of the best matches, not just my favorite match, and not just one of the best like Bret Hart matches, and not just even one of the best WWE matches. I think one of just the best matches, period, is Bret Hart and Steve Austin from WrestleMania 13. I think that's possibly one of the best matches of all time. And they had a very unique mix of, that was before Austin broke his neck, so he was a better wrestler. And Bret obviously is a good wrestler, but they're both also really good, like really physical brawlers. Like, you forget about Bret Hart's physicality because he's such a good technical wrestler.
Right.
But I feel like Bret's one of his best attributes is, I've said this before, I don't know if on the podcast or somewhere else, he makes it look like it's real. And I don't mean he makes it look like you're in a real fight, because if you're in a real fight with someone, you're not like going to put them in the sharpshooter. That's ridiculous. Right. But he makes it look like he's really wrestling. Like the stuff he's doing is real. Right. Like every shot he takes is real. Every move he puts on is for a reason. Like he does it to the point where it looks real. And that includes his punches are some of like the best punches in wrestling.
Oh, they're unreal.
So the match that I'm doing is Bret Hart against Hangman Page. Because I feel like Page isn't Steve Austin, but he has a kind of similar style to Steve Austin pre-broken neck, in the sense that he's, a pretty good technical wrestler. He's not the greatest, but he's pretty good. Right. He's a pretty good, high flyer. He's quite good. He's a good brawler. He's kind of a, pretty well-rounded guy. And I feel like him and Bret Hart could have a really good match. And I think you could really see how good Hangman is in that match. Why it happens, I'm not quite sure, other than that, like, Hangman wants a challenge and Bret Hart's the challenge. Right. I don't have much of a story to it. But the way I script the match is it kind of starts off with Bret Hart being, a technical master, and Hangman can't cope with that, can't hang with that. He's not, picking apart body parts and putting on submissions like Bret Hart is. But what Hangman has is his heart. He doesn't quit. He doesn't give up. He keeps fighting. He keeps trying. And over the course of the match, Bret tries everything and Hangman doesn't tap out. He gets to the ropes, or he reverses it, or gets his way out all the time. And then eventually Bret starts just fighting him, because it's like, okay, well, I can't get him to quit, so I'm just going to have to beat him up. And they just end up fighting, and it becomes more of a brawl. Bret Hart ends up with the figure four on the corner that he does, and it ends up more of a fight. And Hangman, at that point of the match, tries to, kind of gets back into it, evens it up a little bit. My finish to the match is Bret Hart puts him in the sharpshooter. He's in there for a while. He slowly gets to the ropes. He crawls on, holds on to the ropes. But at this point, Bret Hart's annoyed, because he's been beat up. He's been fought. Like, he can't make this guy quit. He's just like, so he just holds the move on, kind of like Austin. Just holds the move on a bit longer. And the referee, counts to 5, and then he doesn't let go. And then the ref's like, hey, I'm going to disqualify you if you don't let go, and kind of pulls him off. And then Hangman stands up. He has words with the ref. While he's doing that, Hangman pulls himself under the ropes. Bret Hart turns around, gets hit with a buckshot lariat, and Hangman wins.
Wow.
That's my match.
That's sick. Awesome match.
I just figured, like, he can't hang with him technically, but he can brawl him. And I could see Bret Hart, the character, being annoyed at, like, this guy will quit. I can't get him to quit. Very similar to the Steve Austin matches, kind of on purpose. But I feel like it would work out really well, because I love that. I love Bret and Steve Austin. Like, their matches against each other were incredible.
So they were matches, and you're right. Like, Bret Hart is a very underrated brawler.
Yeah, he's just so good. Like,
mine initially, I'll get to my real one in a second. Initially did it. Remember how we were talking about, like, the Iron Man match, and how, like, nobody ever does, like, a blowout, but blowouts happen in sports. Right. I was gonna do mine. It was gonna be MJF, and it was gonna just be in storyline, and he was gonna say, "Oh, I beat Danielson," blah 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 blah, and that's how I was gonna bring Danielson back. Like, it was gonna be another Iron Man match, but it was gonna be like he got pinned like 10 times, and it'd be like 10-0, and so Danielson could come back and be like, wait a minute, he pinned you every 6 minutes. You couldn't even go 6 minutes with Bret Hart, like that. And then I was like, no, that's funny and everything, but I'll take it serious, like 100% seriously. So mine is, I have a whole storyline.
All right.
Well, not a whole storyline, but I'm just gonna 100%, for the sake of this, everything that happened with CM Punk is a work. And
all right.
That's how they needed to get the title off of him for this. So he has this big thing. He wins the title. He gets stripped of the title, and Tony Khan can't keep anything backstage. Like, the quote unquote fight happens, and blah 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 blah, this, that, and the other. So the Hitman just shows up, and again, no WWE contracts, blah, 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 you know.
Right.
And he was like, what is this? What are you guys doing here? This is stupid. I'm going to, like, to be the world champion, you have to have, like, excuse the pun for Ring of Honor, but you have to have honor. You have to have commitment. So I'm setting up a tournament. And, you know, for the next so many weeks, we're going to have you winner move on, and you know, but it's not the final two. The winner of the final match doesn't get the title. The winner wrestles me to see if you're actually, you know, uh, um, viable for the title.
All right.
So, you know, it goes through back and forth, and there's some surprises in there, but finally, the last two are Danielson, Kenny Omega.
All right.
And they put on obviously a hell of a match, and Omega wins. So then you have, and it's going to take place in Canada, of course.
Of course.
Then you have you have Hitman versus Kenny Omega for the AEW title. And it's a ladder match for some reason. I don't know why, because I had nothing in my stipulation that it was going to be that. But for some reason,
I just want to see it. So yeah, go for it.
Right. Yeah. The Hitman changed the rules. And I was like, after I wrote this, I was like, man, why'd I change the ladder match? I was like, well, it has to stay now because, I mean, I want to see this. So, yeah, for some reason, the Hitman changed the rules, made it a ladder match during the tournament at some point. But it is pro wrestling, so that is acceptable, 100%.
Sure.
So, the Hitman and Kenny Omega have probably, which I would say is going to be the greatest ladder match in the history of the world.
Agreed.
But the difference is they don't do today's ladder match with like 5,200 ladders and a ladder that's 93 feet tall. It's the old school ladder match with like one ladder that, I mean, you do use it as a weapon, but you do use it more as like a strategy.
Right.
Like,
it's more about like beating someone down to the point where they can't climb versus like jumping off of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's just an old school ladder match, which totally Kenny could totally pull off.
Yeah.
And of course the Hitman could pull off. And the Hitman, he goes over. Hitman wins the title.
Nice.
And he lays the title down. He said, no, you know, I'm you know, this isn't, you know, it's a young man's game, blah, 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 blah. Tony, I don't want the title. I appreciate everything, but here's what we're going to do. So then he sets up another tournament, and that's whenever Punk wins. And see, it makes kind of little zero sense, but Punk wins, but he gets the Bret Hart seal of approval, which everybody knows how much he looks up to Bret Hart.
Yes.
And like everything gets in wrestling world, everything was smoothed over just because there was a tournament.
Right. Yeah, Bret Hart, Kenny Omega sounds amazing. I didn't book it, but now I want to see it.
Yeah, and then I had to throw Punk in it somewhere, like, of course, obviously. I mean, come on. I mean, very few people appreciate Bret Hart as much as CM Punk. So
yeah, I found we've talked about this before. I was super hardcore WWF in like the 90s. Like I didn't watch WCW. Well, I didn't even know when it was on. Like I'm in Canada, so we didn't get it at the same. It wasn't the same like Raw and Nitro on different channels. Like it wasn't that for us. I think it was on like after Raw or like the next day, or like it wasn't. They weren't on at the same time. So I didn't watch Nitro. Like I kind of followed along. I just started getting the internet, so like I knew it was going on. But I didn't like. I was super WWF. When Bret left, I was like, well, I can't ever watch him anymore. I was one of those guys, you know, like,
oh, wow.
I was one of those guys who was just like, well, WWF, Shawn Michaels is actually better. Like that was me. Like,
that's amazing.
Like, you'll know the people now who are like, well, I can never watch Cody again. I hate him.
Right.
Like that I was that guy, but I was, in my defense, I was a teenager. So,
right.
Anyway, so I kind of forgot about how good Bret Hart was, just because like then the Attitude Era started and it was just so fun and cool that like I stopped, and like WCW ruined Bret Hart. Like they did an absolutely terrible job with Bret Hart. One day that's going to be our homework, is to do a better job than WCW did in booking Bret Hart.
All you have to do is the exact opposite
yes.
of what they did.
Pretty much. So I kind of stopped watching and stopped paying attention to Bret Hart. I was like, these guys are cool. They like swear and this fun, right? Like it was WWF was more fun at the time. Right. And then only like later was I just like, yeah, Bret Hart, what? And then I think he like, he had his falling out with McMahon and then they got back together and he ended up in the Hall of Fame. And at that point they released a bunch of Bret Hart DVDs and stuff. So I watched them and I was like, oh yeah, he was incredible. Like he was so good.
Like, so good. Like, see, I even had like the idea, like, I was gonna put somebody like, give him like an Action Andretti,
right?
And do like for him what he did for Sean Waltman,
right? Yeah.
Like people forget that Bret Hart and the 1-2-3 Kid had a match on Monday Night Raw that was incredible.
Yeah, it was. He really did have good matches with everybody.
Yeah.
And I know this is turning into like a CM Punk, Dax Harwood, like let's just talk about how great Bret Hart was podcast.
Right.
But like he legitimately was. So
I mean, yeah. And he was doing it in an era when like if so-and-so didn't want to work with you, they just made you look stupid.
Right. Yeah.
It was just an odd time to be a wrestler. And the fact that he wasn't 6'8", 300 pounds.
Right.
Like,
I think part of the reason even now people defend Bret Hart so much or point out how great he was so much is because WWE kind of did try to brush him aside. Like when he left, they were just like, well, he wasn't any good anyway, and just like moved on, right? Like they just like, and the Attitude Era was so like fast paced and crazy that like,
that's true.
Like, you kind of forgot about him for a little bit because he did kind of get pushed aside by all the craziness that happened.
True.
But like, yeah, he was so good, and even like when you say he worked with anybody, like even people like, yeah, he had great matches with like, he didn't get along with the Clique, but he had great matches with Sean. He had great matches with, Razor Ramon and Diesel and like, yeah, Sean Waltman, 1-2-3 Kid. He had great matches with all of them. And like, they didn't even like each other. And they had such good matches all the time. Even like the Montreal match, the Screwjob match. Like, yeah, it was a pretty good match considering like everything that happened. Like, pretty good match, and they hated each other, right? So that's why when people tell me now that like, oh, CM Punk can't come back, yeah, he can,
totally.
Shawn Michaels basically said, hey, you cheated on your wife with Sonny on like national TV, and then they still work together, right? Like,
see, that's the thing that like a fan might not understand that, but the Bucks, Kenny, and Punk understand that, and you can't tell me that they don't. They're not none of them blind.
They're all so good at like wrestling emotion, like the storylines that the Elite writes, or the things that Punk gets involved in. Like they put emotion into wrestling. It's not just like I'm winning because I do really cool moves, right? Like they put emotion into all their storylines, so they know the power of like having backstage conflict or personal conflict in a match. They recognize how powerful that is in terms of like an on-screen storyline.
100%. Well, I mean, I think it was that what's that one I forget what it was. It was I don't think it was the Dark Side of the Ring, but I don't know. They said one of the old promoters had a sign in their office that said like real life conflict.
Oh, it was like it was the Memphis show.
Memphis, that's what it was.
Yeah.
It like breeds good storytelling or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Like because it does.
And I mean, if anyone watched, Memphis wrestling, it's probably CM Punk.
Yeah.
If any current wrestler today like watched a bunch of Memphis wrestling, it would be him.
Right. And don't forget that, I mean, obviously he wasn't there at the time, but Jerry Jarrett had a lot to do with all that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So now Jeff is there. So
yeah.
And that was, but before we go, that is one thing I wanted to ask you. Are you noticing the Jarrett imprint on the show at all?
I don't know if it's Jarrett or if it's the new producer person, or the shows do seem a little bit different to me. I like
Same here.
I like they do a bit more promo videos now, which I'm sure is the new producer. They do a little bit of, moments ago this happened. Like they recapped the 4 pillars thing later on in the show. Yeah. They don't beat you over the head with it like WWE does, where they after every commercial break they show you what you just saw before the commercial break. Like that's a little much. But like they do, like you have to kind of assume that not everyone is paying full attention to the show for 2 hours, right? Like maybe you went out to get a drink, maybe you were on your phone for a bit, like maybe you have it on, but you're not focused on it.
Yeah.
So doing that stuff kind of helps. It does feel different. I don't know who that is. If it's Jared, if it's, the Elite are back and they're doing more for the show. Like, I think the women's division might have a lot to do with Kenny being back and not injured. And like, maybe he has a more hands-on role than he did before. I don't know, but it's all been good stuff.
Totally. Oh yeah. Like, I mean, if the changes I noticed in the production and everything is definitely for the better.
Yeah.
Well, like Jericho said, we're a professional company. We need to start acting like it. I think a lot of that is really starting to bleed through now.
Yeah. No one told the people to write the press releases, though.
That is very true. or updating the website.
Scotiabank Arena.
Yes.
Scotiabank Center is a different building. But yeah.
Anyways.
Quick question before we leave.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, I had a rant, but I forget what it is. Anyway, my small rant. Tiny rant.
Small rant. Tiny.
Let's
hear it.
I don't know if I don't spend as much time on the internet as I used to on purpose because I'm sick of internet wrestling people. Like, they're too much.
Correct.
But a lot of people bash AEW, obviously, and a lot of people bash WWE. So I'm not saying like, oh, poor AEW, right? But the stuff we've been seeing from AEW in recent weeks, focus on the Elite, focus on MJF, focus on, original homegrown people like, Jungle Boy and Darby Allin, and, focus on Dark Order more. Like, that's all stuff that AEW fans were screaming for a year ago when they're like, there's too many WWE guys. There's too many. Like, now they're getting exactly what they asked for. They really are. Like, 100%. It's almost all. And like, they're still mad. So I don't understand what you want. Like, I like that Tony Khan kind of listens to the fans and goes in the direction of what the fans, but like, the fans are mad all the time. So like, you can't do that too much because they asked for Dark Order on TV more. I remember specifically when like the CM Punk stuff started, people were like, why isn't Dark Order on anymore? Well, now they are all the time. And like, what are you upset about now? Right? Like, you're still mad at something. Now you're mad at whatever. Like, it's just, come on. Like, I don't know.
And just real quick to like kind of piggyback on what you said. Again, no disrespect to Dark Order or Evil Uno or Stu Grayson, but if you have CM Punk,
right,
you put him on TV over Dark Order 11 times out of 10.
Like, the time when people were complaining were around the time when all the WWE guys showed up, right?
Right.
But like, if you have CM Punk and Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole and they all just came, you're not going to be like, sorry guys, we don't have time. Alex Reynolds is in this main event. Like, no disrespect to Alex Reynolds, but like, no, that's not how. Even Alex Reynolds would be like, "Are you sure?"
Seriously, yes.
So yeah, I don't know. This is exactly what people wanted from AEW. So I hope they enjoy it because I like it. Like, I'm not saying the show's bad now. Great. You made it bad. Like, I'm not saying that.
Right.
But this is giving people what they asked for. Like, Tony Khan does generally listen to what people want. And like, there's no Ring of Honor stuff really anymore. There's no like he has changed the show to kind of suit what people were asking for. So I hope they enjoy it. Anyway, that's it. My other short thing. Do you think Punk is back next month? The rumor always was April.
Well, yeah, I mean, the math sort of lines up. So, I'll say he's back before Double or Nothing.
All right, that makes sense.
If you're gonna put me on a spot, I'll commit to that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hopefully, he comes back at the Pittsburgh show. Just saying, but
that'd be amazing.
I'd be nuts. I'd jump the rail. No, I won't, because he will come back and everyone will be like, oh, why didn't you jump the rail? because I didn't want to get arrested. But on that note, I think we've covered everything worth covering this week. So, thank everybody again I know we had 2 episodes last week, and thank you everybody for listening to both. They both did very well considering we had 2 within 3 days. So
yes, and if you make it through the homework stuff, I know it's not recapping AEW, so maybe I don't know if people like it or not. If you're still here at this point in the podcast, like tweet us something, let us know that you listen to it, and then either you like it or you don't like it, because I could totally see. I mean, it's kind of a long show, so I can totally see like you listen to where we recap the show, and then we get to the off-topic stuff, and you don't care. Like I get that. Like I can see if someone thought so. If that's what people are thinking, let us know, because we want to know. And if you like it, tell us that too, because we can do more of it. We can fantasy book, Bret Hart all we want.
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, I do that anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get you guys and girls involved. Yeah, tweet us. We're at Elite City Pod everywhere. So get at us. Subscribe, like, comment, retweet, pass it along. We're doing well with subscribers. We kind of plateaued here, but we're still getting there. So thank you for that too. But that seems to be about all. Also before we go, I'm just gonna put you on the spot. Rick, you need to watch Ring of Honor. It's really good.
Yeah, I do. I was thinking I have to watch like 3 episodes, but I can do it.
Yeah. It's just really good. There's lots of good stuff happening.
Nice.
And for anybody out there who was worried about getting Honor Club, I did, and it's definitely worth the money. It's 2 hours every week. People were kind of like, was it definitely going to be 2 hours? Is that a pipe dream? But no, there might have been one that was a little more than 2 hours actually. But it's been 2 hours every week. So you get your money.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. It just makes me wish that AEW had a streaming service though.
Yes.
But that's a different story for a different day.
Different story for a different day. But yeah, they're going to get something here soon. They're going to have to. Because Honor Club is good and everything, but the interface just sucks because I'm using it. I mean, the interface is good, but I'm using it on my Xbox, which it's not meant for. So yeah. Anyways, thank you all, and we'll be back next week. So tweet at us and give us a topic and we'll talk about it. So until then, later.